Hey, Happy New
Happy
Year's.
New Year!
Hey, how are you doing, Sarah?
Oh, I'm good. Thanks for having me on. What a great day to be on.
Yeah, it's a new year, and so I'm glad we got to catch up with you. So go ahead and introduce yourselves in case people that are watching don't know who you are.
Yep, I am Sarah from Sarah Styles LLC. I am a reseller, PoshMark and eBay mainly. I'm a mom of 3 children, so that's been wild this year as they've been home remote learning. And then I also have a background in data analytics. So I have 3 dashboards and 2 courses to teach resellers, give resellers the tools to look at their analytics and their data, and then teach them how to use those analytics to hit their monetary goals. And then I have, social media, YouTube, Instagram is all dedicated to helping resellers look at their data, look at their numbers, understand those so that they can go wherever they would like to go.
Yeah, you're really numbers-driven type of person. I was watching some of your YouTube videos, and you were talking about here's my breakdown, here's my numbers, here's my income sources, and you're just like a really analytical type of person. But I actually came across your YouTube channel. I saw you were doing some collaborations with Chris from Daily Refinement. So how's that been going?
It's great. We're actually wrapped it up. So we started, it was supposed to be a year-long mentorship. And we started in March, and then the pandemic hit. So that was kind of a bumpy, but it was a great time to do it because we were trying to grow my business, and then the pandemic hit, and we had, some things that we were kind of working through over that, timing, sourcing, and all of that stuff to get my business. I was trying to get to $2,000, $2,000 a week. No, that's a lie. I'm trying to remember last year. We're one day in, and I've already forgot. I was trying to get to 1,000 net a week. Is what we were doing. And we gave me a year, and we ended it in October. So from March until October, I went from 2K a month to 10K a month. And we did a weekly mentorship. So we've ended it, but I'm still in contact with Chris. I love Chris. He's a great channel to watch, great guy. We're both, I think, analytical, right? So that's why I vibed and I like his channel. Lots of great information for sure.
Yeah, I like picking his brain whenever I get a chance, at least like once a week or every 2 weeks, once a month. I'll just send him messages and ask him questions and pick his brain. So I wanted to say hi to Casey here hanging out with us, the Carolina Hustler. And we got Derek here, Fundamentals of Side Hustling. He says, Happy New Year's, you two. Yeah, we just said Happy New Year. So, hey, thanks you for coming by today, Derek. I appreciate you, bro. So tell people kind of like your backstory. You're officially a full-time reseller, correct? And a full-time mom and a full-time hustler. Is that correct? So tell everybody kind of, you live in Colorado, you said, right?
Yes, I'm in a suburb of Denver, Colorado. I was born and raised here. So I don't know any thrifting. Oh,
go ahead. I'll put you on full screen. Go ahead.
Oh, I was like, I lost you. Are we still live? So yes, I grew up in Denver, Colorado. I guess we have good thrifting. This is all I've ever really known. So I've been thrifting my whole life. I did a lot of upcycling prior to the past couple of years where I would buy stuff at the thrift store and then make it into something different. But since having my 3rd child, that was just too much. And I went straight into reselling. I do have a degree in mathematics and worked in corporate America for 7 or 8 years doing data analytics, statistical modeling, forecasting, and that kind of stuff. So that kind of molds the two together.
Okay, awesome. So I'm kind of curious. We got a bunch of subjects I want to talk about today. So I kind of want to cover your journey, how you got into reselling, because you weren't always a full-time reseller. You used to work a corporate job. You said you have a degree. I can tell by the way you talk, like the way you pronunciate your words and the way you talk, that you're college educated without you telling me. It's kind of like I can just pick up on things like that. And so you used to work in the corporate world, and then what got to the point where you're just like, all right, peace out, guys. I'm out of here. I'm going to do this reselling thing, and see you later. So kind of tell your backstory of how that happened, because nobody goes to college and gets a degree and thinking that they want to be a full-time reseller. So go ahead and kind of tell your backstory and tell people how that came about. Go ahead. I'm going to put you back on full screen.
Yeah. So it's kind of evolved into that. Like I said, I always did upcycle as a side hustle. So I was a hairdresser in my early 20s, went back to school, got a degree in mathematics and a license in secondary education. I was going to be a math high school teacher. And then the economy was awful and I couldn't get a job. So I went into corporate America. I did that for like I said, 7 years. And then I had my daughter. So my second child, but my first birth, because my oldest is my stepson. So now we're 2 kids in and a baby at home. So I decided to stay home with her. I was just going to do it for a little bit as she was a baby. Stay home with her. And then that turned into 2.5 years. And I had my third child. So now I'm at home and I'm still doing upcycling kind of on the side, probably like maybe 10 hours a week. And then once my son hit about 1, I started on PoshMark, still doing upcycling, but then I was trying to get rid of some of my clothes and just started some stuff on PoshMark. And within the first couple of weeks of selling a couple of things on PoshMark, I was like, this is way easier to manage directly selling things from thrift stores than buying things, sewing them, making them into something new, and then selling them just with 3 kids at home, trying to manage all of that. So I wasn't one who was like corporate America and I'm quitting to stay home as a reseller. I kind of just slowly moved into that, right, over time. I fully intended on going back to corporate America when I quit 7 years ago, and it evolved into what it is now. And it's very flexible and nice to be able to be home with the kids. I was thinking it was going to be more like, so I could pick them up from school and take them to soccer practice, not necessarily homeschool them because there's a pandemic. But it's nice because if I was in corporate America, there's no way that I would be able to. My husband and I both worked in corporate America. We wouldn't be able to manage this year on that schedule. So.
Yeah. So your husband, he still works a full-time job as well, and does he support your reselling? I was going to say your reselling adventures. Does he support your reselling, or is he just like, we have junk all in the house, or do you guys like argue about it, or how does that work?
No, I mean, he's in corporate America. He's in finance. So he sees it as a business, and he's very supportive because if I'm listing things and I'm bringing the inventory in, he sees it as dollar signs, as do I. It's very much, this piece is this dollar amount and this is what I'm going to make off of it. So he definitely doesn't see it as junk. It's, hey, if you bring inventory and you're going to sell that inventory, we're going to make money off of it. So.
Well, I wasn't trying to take it. I was just asking because not everybody sees it like that. Some people it's like, oh, you're spending money on buying this merchandise instead of spending money taking me out to dinner. They don't see the correlation. Like, no, I'm investing this money. I'm listing it into my eBay store and I'm turning 50 cents into $20. They just like, they don't see the correlation. I wanted to catch some people in the chat. We got fundamentals of side hustling here. We got living a blessed life and improving daily. We got Greg here from Rocky Mountain Resells. He says, my girl Sarah Stiles is here. And he asked a question. He wants to know, what are your goals for your business over the next year? We're in 2021. We talked about it a little bit before the show started. Do you have some goals where you want to ramp up your social media and your reselling business? You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So, I mean, my goals are pretty loose because we are in a pandemic and I don't know what's going to happen with the kids' schooling. So my time, could be very limited depending on if they're remote learning or not. So they're very loose goals, but I think my reselling, I've gotten it storage wise. I'm working from my house and my storage, I've about maximized as much as I can. So as far as growing my store any bigger, I don't know that that's in the cards, but I am. Over the past year, I learned eBay pretty well, kind of got in there, and I want to be able to kind of maximize eBay, look at their tools, look at their resources, and really be able to make the best out of my eBay store, really learn it a little bit better, and then move into, keep my reselling is it's about under 15 hours a week. So maintain that, keep that a maintained level, and, make it as the best I can out of those 15 hours and then kind of move it into learning YouTube a little bit better. Time allows, maybe some more digital products or I have people ask me for mentorships and I just don't have time. I don't have kid free time. I can take pictures for reselling with my kids here, but trying to mentor someone is a different level. So that's going to kind of depend on what happens this year with all of that stuff.
Okay, awesome. Now, this is the question of the day. We got to get to the bottom of this. How do you, because there's people watching that also have a family, how do you go about balancing, being a wife, being a mom of 3 kids, shooting YouTube videos, and, handling your reselling business and stay on top of everything, because you don't get, because if you focus a lot of your energy on, hey, I'm here, I'm being a super mom, I'm taking care of my kids, I'm taking care of my family, then you got a pile of packages that didn't get shipped out. So then it's like you focus your energy on your reselling business, and then the kids are like, "Hey, I haven't eaten. I'm hungry. You got to feed me. You got to pay attention to me. Like, you got to explain," because people tell me like, "Oh, because I don't have kids. It's just me." So they're like, "Oh, you don't understand. It's hard to do this reselling gig with a family." So can you kind of elaborate or explain a little bit how you go about managing your time, and kind of what your like daily routine is with being a mom? You're a stay-at-home school teacher as well, right? You're cooking dinners for the kids, you're doing laundry, you're doing the grocery shopping, and all that, and you're still handling your reselling business. So go ahead. I'm going to put you on full screen. Go ahead.
Yep. Yeah, it's definitely a struggle. So I did that mentorship with Chris, and a lot of that mentorship was talking about how to manage the time and become more efficient in what I was doing. So I definitely recommend, I have a playlist on my YouTube channel after this video. Head over there and watch that, because we talked a lot about how to make processes more efficient. So I can really hone down and spend, 10 to maybe 15 hours a week doing it. So that's definitely, I think, one of the biggest things I learned this year is how to make things more efficient. Putting in inventory systems, just setting up my studio so that I can take pictures and measurements and put inventory away in under 2 minutes. So then when I do have an hour, I can take photos of, 30 items to really maximize my time, because I don't have a lot of it. And so, I think that's part of it. And then I do ship every day. It's just my habit for me. I go down during lunch and ship every day. It's nice because my husband does work from home. So oftentimes, he'll be doing lunch with the kids, and then I'll go down and ship a little bit. And we do, the laundry, the grocery shopping, the taking care of the house. It's pretty split between me and my husband. So there still is a lot of things that I have to do, but I don't take on all of those tasks. We split those between the two of us. Daily task, or what my day looks like, it's different every single day. I wish I could say like this, I have a plan every single day. It has to be a very loose plan, because kids don't really like to do what you plan for them. Like, we could wake up and they could just be in a mood and they need a lot of mom, and then I don't get a lot of work done. And then sometimes they'll be playing really well and I'll hop into my office and spend 2 hours taking photos. So I have more like a weekly plan, things that I like to get done for the week. And then as time allows, I will do that. Every single Saturday, 4 hours, every single Saturday, I absolutely get to myself. It's kind of just baked into our day. So that's when I do like YouTube videos. I'll shoot YouTube videos or any reselling activities that didn't get done during the day. Those are my 4 hours that I know at the very least I will get those 4 hours to dedicate to my business. But a lot of it is just managing multitasking. My kids are they're 3, 5, and 15. 15-year-old is special needs though, so he's not as responsible as one would hope at 15. But they're pretty resourceful. They're pretty independent. So, they make their own breakfast, with a big mess. But for the most part, and they're pretty good at playing with each other and stuff. So on a normal basis, but then when school is happening, I'm down for the count during the day when school is happening. So it's shipping, and then that's about it. All I get done on those days.
Okay, cool. So could you talk a little bit about what platforms are you currently reselling on? I know you're on PoshMark, you're doing eBay. Can you talk a little bit about your what platforms you're selling on right now, and how has your sales been overall this year? Can you talk a little bit about that, or previous year, 2020? Because I keep forgetting. It's like, how it is when the new year is and you're like still writing the last year's date on your paperwork, and it hasn't changed in your brain yet.
Yeah, it took like months for that to get out. Well, and with my kids too, they're like, well, it's just the next day, Mom. And I was like, I know, but it's like technically a new year. But yes, it is just the day after yesterday. It's not like some big, huge thing. Platforms. Yeah. So I'm on PoshMark and eBay. That's it. I have no intent to grow outside of that. It's a lot to manage multiple platforms. And so I really, unless something happens and those don't perform for me, I do always check with my numbers. I look at my numbers every day, if not every other day. So I'm very aware of what's happening.
Yeah.
So if platforms aren't performing for me, I'll reevaluate. But right now it's Poshmark and eBay. eBay, I have significantly grown over the course of the year with Chris's help and, some other things that I've done. So eBay is definitely my main platform. It's trying to think of the split out. It's probably like 60 or 70% eBay, and then Poshmark is the other percent.
Okay, cool. We got a bunch of people in the chat, so I want to shout them out real quick. We got my man Joey Bada Bing 22 hanging out with us. Hey, man, I saw you on Harry Tornado's live stream, and he was with Primetime Treasure Hunter this week, so he's been getting around. I wanted to say hi to Greg, Rocky Mountain Resell here, and we got Harry is here hanging out with us. He says that organized pile behind you. I think he was talking about how you're staying organized with your bins and everything like that. And Greg has a question. He says, can you give me one tip that you would recommend for growing a YouTube channel and a tip you would recommend for someone with a reselling business? I'll let you hit it first, and then I'll throw my 2 cents in. Go ahead.
Yeah, cool. So YouTube, I would say, I'm going to give 2 tips. I hope that's okay. One is consistency. And this is probably something that I think every YouTuber says, because that's what everyone told me, but it's absolutely true. Even if you are just rambling and you're trying to figure out what your content's going to be and figure it all out, consistency. If you're listening multiple times a week, my numbers and everything, and when I was trying to get monetized, everything was just much better when I was being very consistent. The more content I put out, the more YouTube favored me. I think most resellers, if they put the time into YouTube, are pretty good at it because we know how algorithms work. We know about SEOs. We know, you know what I mean? So it's not that level that we're having to learn because we're pretty good with that as resellers. The second thing would be I recently got TubeBuddy, and everyone has told me, for 6 months to a year, I should do it. And I just kept putting it off. And since I got it, it has really helped. There's things in there that, yes, I probably could have researched and spent the time on. I don't have time. So some of their tools are just time saving for me. And it's really helped me figure out how to better make content and better, use SEOs and tags and kind of that stuff out there as well. So that's something that really helped me this year. The other question was, grow your reselling business. Once you get to a certain level, I'm assuming I know Greg, so I'm going to talk to him. But once you get to a certain level, I think you kind of have to figure out how to outsource. You can only do so much. And so once you maximize and you figure out what's working for you and you kind of plateau, you have to kind of figure out a way. You can only do so much with so much time. So once you maximize your 40 hours or however many hours you can put in, you have to bring someone else in. And whether that's listing, or I had someone on my YouTube last week, they're a business who does shipping for you. So if you don't like shipping, you can outsource that, or getting a VA to maybe do your bookkeeping, something. We are one person trying to run an entire business, CEO, CFO, marketing, listing, sourcing, it gets to be too much. And so once you get to a certain point and you want to make it to that next level, I think you have to figure out a way to bring in some other hands, whatever works best for you.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I was just going to throw my few tips in there because I'm not an expert on, YouTube. I've had maybe almost a year in there, but I'm telling you guys, the first 1,000 subscribers is the hardest ones to get. So what you need to do is just be consistent. So like this week, for example, I've had a video scheduled every day this week, okay? And you got to get up and be consistent, even if you're tired or even if you don't feel like it. You got to just put content out there. And number 2 is you got to collaborate. Like right now, I'm hanging out with Sarah Stiles. We've never met before in person. You just got to reach out to people and collaborate. That's important. And number 3 is I would tell you guys when I was going from 0 to 1,000 subscribers every day, my homework assignment, I would go on other YouTubers that had a bigger platform than me, and I would leave comments below their video every day. I would find 10 YouTubers that's in your niche. So if you're in reselling, I would go find Rally Roots, Rockstar Flipper, Chris from Daily Refinement, and I would go hit up and I would leave comments on 10 different YouTubers' videos every single day. Every day. And people are like, what are you doing? I'm leaving comments on YouTube, and they're like, why are you doing that? I'm like, because I got to. It's my homework assignment. So if you do that and you're interacting with the community and you're doing that every single day, it's going to grow. And with your reselling business, the main thing is you just like when I don't know about Poshmark because I'm not on there, but eBay, you just need to list items and list items consistently. If you can only do 10, do 10. If you can do 20, do 20. But listing items consistently and reinvesting money back in your business. I see so many people that make $1,000 or $2,000 and then they want to put a down payment and buy a new car, or they want to go on vacation, or they want to buy a new pair of shoes. You know, instead of reinvesting your money back in your business to grow it. Right now I'm at 5,000 items on my eBay store and I'm trying to grow to 10,000. It's not going to happen overnight, but you just have to keep hitting it. You got to keep working at it, and you got to keep reinvesting money back in your business. Sometimes it's nice to think, man, I want to take this trip to, Hawaii or to the Bahamas or go on a vacation, but you have to just act like the money's not there and just keep reinvesting it back into your business. And if you do that consistently, it's going to grow. Go ahead, Sarah. I feel like I'm interrupting you. Go ahead.
No. You just have valid points. And I did a video this week or last week. I don't remember. 2 points. So one, for the YouTube being consistent, I'm very busy. I don't know if you've caught on to that. For people who don't follow me, I am very busy. But I do stay consistent. And just like with eBay and reselling, I do batch work. I take, I'm like 300 items ahead right now in photos because I know school's going to start soon and I'm not going to have the time. So doing batch work, I do the same with YouTube. I have like 4 videos pre-recorded, ready to go out so that I can stay consistent. And so whatever works with your schedule, but I do a lot of batch work, film, 3 videos back to back so that I have them in my bank for that day when, life's been chaotic and I don't have time, so that I can stay consistent, because just like eBay, YouTube likes your consistency as well. And then as far as growing your business and putting it back in, I made, a video recently about my net. And I think a lot of people don't talk about that in the reselling community. You see gross numbers, which are amazing. I said at the beginning of this video, I went from 2,000 to 10,000. Those are gross numbers. I did a video 2 weeks ago and talked about my net numbers. There was many months this year that I did not take an income, because everything that I made, I put back into my business. And that's how I was able to grow, my business over 4 times, because I was putting it back into my business. Eventually, I'll get to the level that I want to be at, maybe this year. And then it will be, maintenance mode, and I can start taking in income. But it depends, if you're doing it and you have a mortgage to pay, then you have to take that amount of money. For me, I was able to put it back into the business. But if you do want to grow, that's a very valid point. You can't have more inventory unless you spend more money, right? Unless you're getting it for free and then send me your connections, because I want good free inventory too.
Well, the thing is like, as you're making sales, your inventory numbers are starting to drop. So you have to kind of restock the shelves. I mean, if you go to Walmart, it's the same thing. I mean, they restock the shelves. If they run out of laundry detergent, they put more laundry detergent in there. They're restocking the shelves. So you have to just restock the shelves on your reselling business as well. As your inventory sells out, you have to restock the shelves if you want to keep making sales, because you don't want your inventory is going to start dropping. Your sales will start dropping. So you just got to reinvest back in your business. I wanted to say hi to Greg in the chat. He says, I hope to see your business go above and beyond your expectations this year, Sarah. We got Miss Taffy here in the house. She says, what's up, y'all? Happy New Year's. We got Vintage Vagabond Vins is here. Says hello. And we got Harry here. He says, Joey Bada Bing is the happiest guy on YouTube. Happy New Year's. And so we got Callie Reseller Lewis in here hanging out with us all the way from California. So thank you for coming to hang out. And we got Nikki T here. So if you guys don't get a chance to go check out Nikki T with the Rev Resellers channel, I would go check them out. So we got a few questions in the chat here. Harry says, what is your favorite thing to sell? And he has a question. He says, have you had something that was hard to get rid of? Yeah. Go ahead. I'll put you on full screen. Go ahead.
So my favorite thing to sell, I mostly only do women's, like 90%. I've tried to venture out and I don't enjoy it. I don't know it. I've spent 36 years learning women's clothing, shoes, and purses. So I kind of just have that background knowledge. So definitely women's is my favorite thing to sell. Within women's, I love purses. If I could source enough purses, I would strictly do that. However, I cannot. So I have to do other things. And do I have something that would, yes, absolutely. There's lots of things that are hard to get rid of. And that's something I'm working on. I was actually looking at it today, is looking at my numbers and figuring out at what point am I just going to like clearance items out. Like I've had them for so many days, I'm just going to clearance them out. I can't think of anything huge because I sell women's clothing. It's not like I have, some really cool antique thing that I can't get rid of. It's, purses, shoes, and clothes, but there's definitely things that I've had in my inventory, for a while.
Right. So, Sarah, give us some tips because you're a full-time reseller. Give us some of your sourcing tips and techniques. Is there certain things that you know about that maybe, you hit, like maybe flea markets or the Goodwill bins or thrift stores, yard sales? What are some of the places that you like to go to, maybe on a weekly or bi-weekly or monthly basis, where you go get some of your sources, some of your sourcing techniques to resell back on these platforms? Can you talk a little bit about some of your sourcing places you go to?
Yeah. So I started in the beginning of 2020. I was strictly a thrift store and bins person. I actually preferred the thrift store over the bins. Looking at my numbers and my data, I was making a better profit and a better use of my time at thrift stores compared to the bins. I would go to the bins every once in a while just because it's fun to do the treasure hunt, but I definitely preferred thrift stores. I'm in Denver metro area. We have really good thrift stores. I can hit up, I don't know, in the course of 4 hours, hit up 3 or 4 thrift stores and have, 150, 200 of good items to be able to resell. So I'm fortunate in the area that I live in. However, due to the pandemic, things started to shut down. Sourcing really shifted for me this year because we were, forced into this situation. So I tried garage sales. I've tried estate sales. I have a whole list of things. I tried buying inventory off of eBay to flip it, or PoshMark, just buying other people's stuff. And I've moved into liquidation. So buying liquidation pallets, new attack liquidation pallets. I miss thrifting and I still go every once in a while. But the nice thing about the inventory pallet is I can get online. I don't have to leave my house, which is nice because I have the children. So I can get online and it comes directly to me. It saves me a lot of time in going outside of the house. It's not necessarily less time to auction one and then process it as it would be thrifting, but it comes to my house. And right now during a pandemic and 3 kids at home, that's kind of just what I need. So that's kind of where I'm at, is doing liquidation now. I don't give my sources away because it's kind of competitive out there with liquidation. But I am willing to answer questions about, liquidation in general.
Okay, cool. I got we got a bunch of questions. We got a question here from Harry. He says, what part of the country are you in? I think you said you're in Colorado, correct?
Yeah, I'm in Denver. I'm in a suburb of Denver.
Okay, now with your pallet, we're essentially liquidation lots. Are you buying whole pallets of merchandise, or are you just getting select liquidation, saying I'm buying 2 or 3 boxes? Because you said you're getting stuff new with tags. Mm-hmm. So are you ordering like liquidation lots, and then when you pay the shipping costs, does that kind of cut into your profit margins, or like what are you looking for? If I logged on the computer right now and I was looking for a liquidation lot, what would I be looking for? Kind of walk through us. I'm not saying give us your sources, but kind of give us the walkthrough of what you're looking at, like your potential ROI and all that. Go ahead, Sarah.
My cost of goods has absolutely gone up. Buying liquidation especially liquidation that's going to sell, at prices that I want to sell at, is going to be much higher than thrift store prices. I'm okay with that because it comes to me. I can do it. My kids lay down and take a nap, and that's a lie. They don't nap anymore, but they do relax in the afternoon a little bit, and I can do it then. I don't have to go out to a thrift store. So I'm paying for that luxury. I'm also paying for the new with tags, which I think during the pandemic, people, maybe not so much anymore, but in the beginning of the pandemic, people are a little weary about it. And then going into Christmas, people are buying new with tags over used stuff, and as well as people who are new to sourcing or shopping on eBay and PoshMark may be a little weary about used. So I'm kind of paying a little bit more, my cost of goods a little bit more for that return, or for that, the convenience of that over going, because I'm not able to go to the thrift stores. Honestly, I have very little time, and it's just really hard, and they get shut down. So I'm paying a little bit more for the investment. Things that I look at, I definitely look at things that I know. I look at my data. I'm familiar with women, so I look at what brands sell for me. I look at, like I said, I like selling purses. One, because I enjoy purses, but also I know purses have my biggest return. So that's one reason that I would spend. They have my highest sell through. I think My sell-through for the year on purses was like 78% at like a $65 average sale price. So that's why I would sell purses. Those are great numbers. But in general, I try and have an average sale price around, between $30 and $40. So I'm looking at, something that's going to sell for me $30, $40 and have a sell-through rate between probably 50 and 60% over the course of, a month or two. I don't expect to get rid of it all in a month or two, but at least be moving at least half of it within a month or two.
Yeah, with everything going on in the world this year, I mean, I like shopping at a lot of thrift stores and Goodwills and pawn shops and stuff locally, but there's so much crazy stuff's going on that I've been doing a lot more retail arbitrage, and I've been buying wholesale lots of merchandise, not purses like you have, but merchandise that's new in the shrink wrap. So I've been buying like wholesale lots of DVDs, maybe 100 or 200 at a time, and paying 54 cents a piece for them, new in the shrink wrap. I just did a wholesale lot order. I bought 400 CDs new in the shrink wrap, and I paid $180. So it broke down to like 45 cents a piece. So when your cost of goods is 45 cents and you're selling something for 10, 15, 20 bucks, you've got pretty good margins there, and it's being shipped right to your door. Because a lot of places they only limit maybe only 5 people in a store at a time. You may go to a thrift store and only come home with 3, 4, or 5 pieces when you could do wholesale and had stuff shipped right to your door. So I definitely like that. So I kind of want to transition a little bit and ask you some questions because I'm a new subscriber to your channel, and I was watching your video and you were talking about some of your revenue that you brought in for 2020. And one thing that really intrigued me is you said that your hourly rate of what you were making was like $60 or $66 an hour in your reselling business. Can you talk a little bit about how that is? Because I'm like on your Instagram page, you talk about how you put in part-time hours and make full-time income. So can you talk a little bit about how people can do that? If someone is a busy mom or they're a single parent, they have 2, 3 kids taken care of, how can they grow the reselling business where they get to the point where they're making $50 to $60 an hour with their reselling business, can work from home, kind of live life on their terms, and still make some side income? Go ahead, Sarah.
Yeah. Well, I think it's important to say that is a process. I didn't start, I've only been strictly reselling for 2 years. No, what year is it? Yes, 20. Yeah, I don't.
I'm sorry. Yeah, the new year kind of throw everybody off. Go ahead. It's funny.
Yeah. So I started reselling. Like I said, I did upcycle before, but I started reselling in 2018. So December was a full 2 years. I'm not a pro at this. The reason that I've been able to grow is I look at it as a business. I look at the numbers. So I think that's really helped me grow. But I want to say, I wasn't starting off 2 years ago making that money. It's been a process, and you have to be willing to put the time in. I was definitely working 40, 50 hours a week for a while, not bringing in money. That's when you start a business, that's what happens, right? Most businesses don't even turn a profit for the first couple of years. So you definitely have to be willing to put in that time without getting back the monetary reward. But at this point, 2 years in, I am able to, like I said, I work about 10 to 15 hours a week, strictly reselling. So I do YouTube, I do social media, I do courses, so that doesn't count, but strictly reselling, sourcing, shipping, photos, listing, all of that is about 15 hours a week. And it's definitely the work that I put in this year in making processes efficient. I have, like I said, gotten my photos down, and I'm in my studio. I don't know if you guys want to see how much you want to see, how in detail you want to get. I posted a TikTok the other day about my listing or my photo process. I take photos. I have it all set up. I take photos, I take weights, I take measurements, and I put my inventory away in 2 minutes an item. So I can take, I list 10 items a day. So that's 7 items a week. I can take photos for the week in less than 2.5 hours. I do pay a lister. So that's something to keep in mind too. When I say that, I outsource my listing. I take all of the photos and then I send it to her, and she has drafts ready for me on eBay and then puts them onto PoshMark. So that and that's why I was saying earlier with having to be able to grow was having to outsource and pay someone else to do something that I wasn't very good at, I didn't like, and is really hard to do with the kids. I was finding when I was trying to list with the kids, I would type something in wrong and then I would send something out and it would be the wrong size. So that was something that I just really can't do with the kids and keep up on being consistent. And then the same goes for shipping. Over the course of this year, I've really gotten good about putting together an inventory system and I have a spreadsheet that tracks and manages everything and then gives me my analytics, but everything has a number. It goes in sequential order. It's all you can see. This is over storage back here. I have another room of just my storage, but everything has a number. I go on eBay, I pull the number, it gets a label on it. It takes me under 2 minutes as well to ship an item. So that's a big thing, is really just having systems in place that I can get things done in minimal time.
Yeah, that was one of the questions I was going to ask you, was about how your storage system works, because sometimes you can sell an item, but then if you're taking a half hour, 45 minutes looking for that one item you sold, even if it's a $15, $20, $30 item, if you're taking 45 minutes an hour trying to find that one item to box it and ship it up, that cuts into a lot of your time that you could be using for listing or sourcing or other things you want to do. So could you talk a little bit about it? Because I sell different merchandise than you do. So can you talk a little bit about what your strategy is? Like when you go on eBay or you're on your PoshMark app, do you type in like AA or bin BB, so that way when the item sells, you know what bin it's located in? Can you talk a little bit about how you organize your merchandise and like, oh, this item just sold, I know exactly where that's at? Go ahead.
So I know a lot of people do that, like AABB stuff. A lot of resellers do it. I don't do that. From a data management and an inventory management system, every item needs to have a unique SKU. If you're reusing SKUs, if you're reusing things like that, it makes it much more difficult, especially from a data analytics standpoint. I track everything in a spreadsheet. I look at analytics in a spreadsheet. And so if I have two items that have the same SKU, it starts to get really confusing. So I just go in sequential order. I take a picture and that gets, I can show you.
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm in here. Let me grab you a bag. So I take a picture, it gets bagged, and then it gets this put on it, a SKU. I take a picture of this because then my lister puts this in my SKU number on my listings. And then when it sells, I just go to this bin and I pull out that number. And then as I'm taking pictures, the next item that I take a picture of is then 22078 and then 22079. So it just goes up in sequential orders. And then the nice thing too is it's all going in sequential order. So my bins that are the furthest back, I know is my inventory that I've had the longest. And I can go in and say, hey, I'm going to take this to a buy sell trade place. I've had it the longest and get rid of it. This is what I'm going to clearance out because I know that I've had it the longest. And then when I'm looking in my spreadsheet, I can quickly pull up 2207 because it's the only item that I have. That makes sense.
Okay. Yeah. So instead of putting AABB, you have yours have numbers on them instead of letters. But it's the same concept where you sell an item, you can go and find it, and you know exactly where it's located at. I wanted to say hi to the cap guy here in the house hanging out with us. He has a question. He wants to know, how much do you pay a lister per item? So do you have like an hourly rate? Like if I wanted to hire someone, because I've worked for companies before in the past to help them out as an eBay lister. So how do you go about hiring an eBay lister? Do you just post an ad on Craigslist? How do you go about doing that? And how much do you pay them per hour? Or do you pay them piecework? Tell us the backstory on that.
So it depends on the lister and where you find them. I have someone in the US, and nothing against, you can go on Fiverr or Upwork and find, VAs in other countries that'll work for, $3 an hour. So you're going to have significantly less cost there, but a lot more training. And I kind of just fell into this. It's someone that I know on Instagram and she prefers listing. I hate listing. So we've kind of just been working out together. She's been off and on listing for people on eBay for 12 years. So she knows eBay way better than I do. If anything ever happened to her, I would not know how to list on eBay because she's mostly done the majority of my listings on eBay. Because she is in the US, it is a little bit more. I pay her, it's $2 a listing, but that's an eBay listing, a Poshmark listing, and she updates my spreadsheet. So she goes in and as she lists it, she puts in the information onto my tracking spreadsheet. So then I have the analytics. But you can pay by the hour. And there are, if you're looking for a lister, I do know a couple of people as well, or there's services. I know Chris uses a service as well, or you can go on like Fiverr and Upwork, and there's I know Denali El Dujo Thrift has a course on how to hire a VA because she uses like Fiverr, I think, and going through that process and how to teach them to do it. I was fortunate in not having to do any of that. My lister already knew how to list on eBay, so I send her the pictures and she does the rest.
All right, sir. So I wanted to ask you a question. If you don't feel comfortable sharing the information, you don't have to. But I'm just curious, what is this past year for 2020? What has been your average COG, which is your cost of goods per item? Do you know what your average cost of goods are? And you know, like a ballpark figure, like what your average ASP, which is your average sell price? Do you have an idea? Like, say, hey, I'm spending $5 per item, and my average ASP is maybe $50. Do you have like a ballpark range that maybe you can give us? Because I'm just curious about, because you made pretty decent living this past year as a full-time reseller, but I'm just trying to get an idea. Do you what you're looking for when you're reselling items?
Yeah, I can tell. I mean, I have my dashboard pulled up. I can show you exactly if you guys want to see the actual numbers.
Well, right. I'm an eBay nerd. Everybody isn't an eBay nerd like me, but because to me, it's like I can sit here and talk about, you know, your COG, cost of goods, and ASP. I can sit here and talk about it all day long, but everybody isn't. I was just trying to curious if you could give us like ballpark figures on what that is, and that includes paying your eBay lister as well, right?
Yeah. So I don't track. That's an expense. Paying a lister is an expense, so that's $2 that would come out of that. My cost of goods, cost of goods is strictly how much you're paying for an item, and anything like if I was anything associated with that item, but not listing. Listing I track as an expense. So just, I guess add $2 onto that out of my profit. My average cost of good, I think I ended the year at $5 was my cost of goods, and my average ASP is between like it started the year around like $38 or $39. And then as the pandemic hit and I was sourcing a little bit more strategic, noticing my average sale price was declining. So kind of working on that, increasing my sell-through rate. It ended, I think, around $34 is about what and these are gross numbers too, right? So that's my gross number. My profit tends to be, I'd have to look at the numbers. Roughly around like $20 once you take out shipping and fees, I think. So $20 an item.
Yeah, that's cool. I was just curious. So if you guys don't know, Sarah was a guest speaker at PoshFest, correct?
Oh, yes.
So tell us a story about how that came to be. And are you like an expert now on Posh? Can you tell us the ins and outs? Because I don't sell on Posh at all, not even a little bit. So, but we have different guests on, and they're different experts in certain niches. Maybe somebody is really good at, buying and reselling storage lockers or pallets or something. But you were the guest speaker on PoshMark. So, kind of tell us the backstory of how that happened, what you were a guest speaker about, and tell us more about the PoshMark platform, that could be a platform that people can make money on. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I was this year at PoshFest 2020 on their virtual event that they had. I was a guest speaker. You could probably, if you haven't caught on to my background or you watch me, I like numbers. I like data and analytics. That is what I talked about. They had a session on, I don't remember the exact name of it, but it was how they have a report, how you can use their report to sell on PoshMark. So I talked about that. I have 3 dashboards. So 2 of them are strictly for PoshMark. You export their reports. It's a raw CSV file. You can't tell a lot about that. And if you don't know how to use Google and Sheets or Excel, you can't really look at the information that they give you. So I have created 2 PoshMark files, dashboards, where you copy and paste the information in, and then it'll show you charts and graphs about your sell-through rates, your average sale price, your categories that are selling, what sizes are selling, brands, all of that information. So I kind of just talked about how to use your data to be able to sell on their platform and how to use the reports that they give you to sell on their platform, what kind of information is in there. As far as being an expert on PoshMark, I feel like I am. I've been selling on there the most. I have switched more to eBay. I have items on both platforms. All of my items are on both platforms, but I think PoshMark kind of plateaus. eBay absolutely has a bigger audience. They also have tools for small businesses where PoshMark does not. so that you can definitely make money on Poshmark. And I've gone through and done all kinds of analytics and how to maximize your profits, doing sample data, what kind of activities on Poshmark you have to do to be able to make money on there as well.
Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you, Sarah. So I wanted to ask you a question. Do you still have, I was watching your video, it said, do you have a lister and you have a sharer? Do you still have like somebody that shares your items on the Poshmark platform? And can you explain what that means? If there's somebody that only sells on eBay and they haven't sold on Poshmark, can you explain what the whole sharing thing is about? And kind of explain a little bit more of the platform, because most of our guests that we have on just mainly sell on eBay only. Go ahead.
So Poshmark is a social media selling app. So it's kind of like an Instagram of, like Instagram and eBay kind of had a baby. It's all about interacting and being social on there. So just like YouTube or Instagram, the more engagement that you give the platform, the more outcome that you're going to get. Whereas eBay, if you're making sales, eBay is going to say, hey, cool, like I'm going to keep giving you exposure. And you can kind of manipulate it in different ways. But Poshmark is absolutely a social platform, and they don't have, so like on eBay, I can search for an item and the algorithm comes up and gives me the item that I want. And I have filters, right? So I can go through and I say, I want this, I want this, I want this. Poshmark searching is based off of whatever goes to the top is what has been shared most recently. So if you post an item but you don't share it, it's not going to come up in a search. Where eBay, you post an item, you have a good SEO, you have, you've met all the eBay God things for the algorithm, it's going to come up on a search. Poshmark, your items will not come up on a search unless you are sharing it. So my closet shared, I think it's like 5 or 6 times a day, so that when people are searching, my items are the ones that are coming up on top.
Okay, cool. Now, I have this is an important question I have for you, Sarah. Are you ready? This is like lightning round. Are you ready?
All right,
so, you ready? So, what we got to find out is you've been a full-time reseller for 2 years, going on 3 now, right? Because they're in 2021. What is your top 3 or 4 tips that you can give somebody? Because you said in your video you were making $66 an hour as a reseller. If I'm a part-time reseller and I want to make a full-time income, or maybe I'm a full-time reseller and I want to generate more sales, do you have maybe 2 or 3 or 4 tips off the top of your head where I can make some more money? Because that's what we're here for. We want to hear from Sarah Stiles. Give us the information. How can I make more money? Tell me some tips or tricks or things that I can do right now in 2021 so I can hear cha-ching when I wake up in the morning. Give us the info. Tell us how to do this.
Yeah, I mean, my biggest one tip, and this can go in various different ways, however you want to put it, is to look at your numbers. Quit doing things and buying things that aren't making you money, and keep doing things that are making you money. It sounds very simple, and it's not. I know that it's not. But understanding your numbers, we're talking about sell-through rates and average sale price and cost of goods. If you understand that and you can figure out how to manipulate that over the course of the year, pandemic hit, people had money, but not as much money. So I noticed my average sale price was going down. To make more money, I had to increase my sell-through rate. If you understand how to manipulate those numbers and what to do to get those numbers to manipulate, it's endless. You can make money selling deodorant from Walmart or whatever it is that works for you. I don't sell Bolo brands. I mean, sometimes a little bit, but I don't know a lot about Bolo brands. I don't do a lot of huge hauls because my stuff honestly is not anything really fantastic, I don't think. But I look at it when I go shopping. How much does this cost? What is the average sale price for this? What is the sell-through rate? Am I going to make money off of this? I'm going to buy it. If I'm not going to make money off of it, I'm not going to buy it. And everyone's numbers are different. What works for me and the inventory that I have available is not what's going to be available to you. And so really understanding your numbers and being able to figure out how to make what inventory you have available work, how to make your time work. Right? Like I only have 10 or 15 hours. So I figured out processes to be able to make that work and to maximize my profits in the inventory that I was bringing in.
Right. So how do I go about maximizing my time and energy? Because maybe I don't have 40 hours to commit to reselling, and I'm someone like you, and I've got maybe 15, 20 hours a week where I can sit here. Let's say I have 4 hours a day of free time, to just work on my reselling business. What are like the top 2 or 3 things that I should like focus on? Should I focus on sourcing? Should I focus more on listing? Give us some other ideas off the top of your head that would maybe help somebody, maybe with their organization, maybe with shipping, maybe with sourcing. Like, what can we do to kind of cut out the middleman? And because if you have limited time, what can you do to help make more money in your small amount of time that you have?
Yeah, I mean, I think definitely processes help that. Like you said earlier, if you sell an item for $10 and it takes you 2 minutes to ship it, then you're making, what is that? $300 an hour, right? Did I do the math right? Hey, if you're selling if you're selling that, you're making $300 an hour. If you're selling items for $10 and it takes you 2 minutes to ship it, 2 minutes, but if it's taking you an hour to find it, you're making $10 an hour, right? So being able to, and I talk about this in my course, how to maximize your time, how to, like you said, the last video that you watched, I calculated how much I'm making, and that's kind of why I'm moving into digital products. I make more money on digital products per hour than I do on reselling. So paying attention to those numbers and looking at it. So if I had, I have 10 hours a week, and this is what I do with my time. Shipping, absolutely. If something sells, you have to ship it. Like, that's not an option because you're not going to get good ratings, and obviously you're going to get shut down if you're not shipping your items. So I spend time shipping. Listing, I list 10 items. The more items that you list, the more that is available to sell. However, I've had months where I strictly relisted items, and they were one of my best months. So it doesn't necessarily have to be new inventory. Learn the systems that you're selling on. PoshMark, you can relist all the time, and it will definitely trigger the algorithm. I haven't played around on eBay as much because I'm still working on learning it. But you can, work on finding ways and being consistent in what you can. If you can't get to 10 items a day, do 2 a day and just be consistent with it. Find ways that you can. I like to do batch work. So I get an hour and I knock out a ton of photos at the same time. So, I do photos every week. I do shipping every week. I look at my numbers every week, and I change strategies, almost as needed, a lot more this week, a lot more this year, because we've been going through a pandemic. But when I noticed, I used to sell a lot of vintage, I looked at my numbers and vintage just really wasn't selling for me. I quit buying it. So I think definitely looking at your numbers frequently. eBay has great analytics too, right? So looking at, if you run a sale, look at how the sale performs for you. Like, if it doesn't perform well for you, then don't run a sale or do something different, right? Like, continuing to do things over and over again. And whether it's listing or shipping or, really look at your processes that you're doing and the things that you're doing. And if they're working for you, they're working. And if not, stop doing them or find ways to do them better.
Okay, awesome. We got Aaron in the chat. We got a question here from Digging for Deals in Missouri. He says, I watched the video from Harry Tornado, and he says, I can't remember. He says, do you have a certain place that you would recommend that I go buying some item on eBay in order to get positive reviews on my eBay store? You want to answer that one, Sarah? Go ahead.
Yeah, I can. I tried it. It didn't. You have to buy a lot to get a lot of positive reviews, but enough to trigger the algorithm. But I have tried it. If you go to the bigger, I don't know specifically, you might know, but if you go to a lot of the bigger stores, they have auto feedback turned on. So if you buy something, you automatically get a feedback from them. I've bought digital art, because then they don't have to ship anything. I don't have to get something I don't want. I get a file of a picture. It's 99 cents art. And you automatically get a feedback once the thing is processed. So that's a good way to, build up your feedback. You'd have to buy a lot, so I did a couple of those, but trying to get, 300 feedbacks from that, it would cost you $300. But that is a way, you invest into your business and you can do that. I just auctioned off and sold stuff really cheaply to get a lot of feedback because then eBay also saw it as sales, right? That triggered the algorithm too.
Yeah. Well, what I would do is, if you have a new store, I would try to see if you can get 100 feedback. Okay. So go online, get something that's inexpensive, like a sticker, or see if you can get a pencil sharpener. Try to get something really inexpensive, and you can bid on auctions for items for 1 penny from China. And if you do 100 of those, don't do it all from the same seller, but just look for little knick-knack stuff that you can get. Like I said, a sticker, a pencil sharpener, an ink pen, a pencil. Just find something that you can get very inexpensive for a penny, 50 cents, $1, and then bid on it. And then once you want to build up your positive feedback, try to get it up over 100. Because I recently did that. I opened up my second eBay store and I'm like, crap, I have 0 feedback. So try to focus on that. Don't even worry about making sales right now. Just focus on building up your positive feedback and see if you can get items for a penny, 10 cents, 50 cents, $1. And then you want to work on getting your feedback up to at least 100 feedback. Because if me and Sarah, let's say we both have, here, I got this item here. Let's say we both have this item, this Spider-Man video game, and both of us are listing it for $50, and I have 5 feedback and Sarah has 1,000. You know, even if we're selling the same item at the same price, Sarah's going to get this. Someone is going to buy this item from Sarah's store over me because they don't trust you yet. I have 5 feedback in the system. They don't know who you are. They don't know if you're a reputable seller. They don't know if they can trust you. They don't know if they're going to get their item on time, if it's going to show up damaged. They don't. You're building up your reputation. So we have a lover just showed up, says, I don't have a specific question. I just wanted to give a shout out to Sarah, say I love her and her channel and she's awesome. So
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks. Lone Star Picker says, question for you to ask Sarah. Thank you for being here. What is one thing that you have a desire to help your business run smoother, but may need to work up to it? What's one thing to minus? So I guess he wants to know what's one thing that you can do in 2021 for your business and something that you want to take out away from your business.
That's a good question. I think to not necessarily to make it run smoother, but to make it easier for me to take a step back. Finding, and it's been hard during the pandemic because I don't want people in my house, but maybe finding and training someone to do the shipping so then I can go on vacation without having to put my, store on vacation mode to be able to, or just take a week off. Like I took a week off. I'm sure we're all in the same position. You take a week off, but something sells, I still had to go ship it. I wasn't working as much as I usually did, but I didn't want to put myself on vacation mode. And so when things were shipping, I was still having to do it. So being able to maybe find a way, and it may not happen depending on, or maybe I'll find a way, I don't know. But having someone trained to ship for me, I don't mind the shipping, but just being able to take a step back if I wanted to and not having to be stuck to my business. Something that I would minus, I don't know. As far as reselling goes, I'm actually okay. I'm focused on social media this year and figuring out how to be efficient with that. I can find social media to be very stressful. I think it's very important to my digital products. There's no way that my digital products would have made the amount of money had I not been on social media. So I think it's absolutely necessary, but I'm trying to find the ways to maximize my time without having to be on Instagram for 8 hours a day or, I used to take 5 to 6 hours for a YouTube video, and now I've gotten it down to 2 hours. So maybe focusing more on that aspect.
Well, one thing that Sarah has done, as she kind of talked about earlier, is she's buying liquidation stuff, having it shipped to her door. So that's minusing hours that normal people would spend going to thrift stores and, Goodwills and stuff looking for merchandise. You can just snap her fingers and it shows up at her front door. So that's one. Yeah, I'm just saying that's one thing that you kind of cut out the middleman and you're maximizing your time instead of waiting in line to check out, trying to find a parking spot, spending your time and gas money looking for merchandise. You're doing more sourcing online and having the merchandise shipped to you, and you're cutting out the middleman. So
I will say quickly on that, because before I started liquidation, that's, I was like, oh, it's going to be so much more time saving. From a time perspective, it takes me about the same amount of time because I have to go online and I auction it. So that takes time. And then when you get 400 items delivered to you, it takes me 3 or 4 hours to even just unpack it and put it away. So time-wise, it's taking me about the same amount of time as if I was thrifting. But yes, it comes directly to my house and I can do all of that while my kids are here. I don't have to leave the house, find someone to watch the kids and all of that. So it is maximizing my time, and I can do 10 minutes here, 15 minutes there, and not worry about if I go to a thrift store, am I going to find stuff?
Okay, awesome. I just wanted to say hi to Christopher in the chat. I wanted to say hi to Leroy here. He says, I'm not sure if I know Sarah from the chats, but but you said it's nice to meet you. So yeah, I actually met Sarah. She did a video with Chris from Daily Refinement. So that's kind of how I found her online. And Lone Star Picker says, awesome answer, taking a step back. So make it a smoother for you, mind, body, and spirit. We got Bearded Veteran here, and we got Wendy here hanging out with us. So we're running out of time, Sarah. I do really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to come hang out with me today. Hopefully we'll do it again sometime. Tell people where they can find you at on YouTube and Instagram so they can come check you out.
Yep. Thank you so much for having me. This was a great way to start off the year. You guys had some great questions. I should have been more prepared for what I'm going to do this year. Those videos I posted last week, I filmed a month ago. So I'm like, I don't remember what was I going to do this year. But thank you so much for having me for sure. Sarah Sal's LLC everywhere. So YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Etsy, YouTube, did I say it all? eBay, PoshMark. I mean, Sarah Sal's LLC, Facebook. All the places. Sarah Sal's LLC.
Awesome. Yeah, I got her YouTube and Instagram is linked down in the description below. So you can go by and check her out and go by and check out her YouTube channel. She's really analytical person as far as running numbers, and you can pick her brain. And you also have products that you sell, digital products as well. You have courses and things like that as well, right?
Yep. 3 dashboards. So you can plug your numbers in and then all the charts and graphs. You don't have to know how to build formulas and work in Google Sheets or Excel. All of those populate for you. You just have to have your data. And then 2 courses on how to use your numbers. We were talking sell-through rates, cost of goods, really understanding what those mean and how to manipulate those to make the money you want to make.
Okay, awesome. We just have one more question in the chat, then we'll let you go. A question from Christopher. He says, why did you get into the business in the first place? I'm new to you. So he wants to know what got you into reselling in the first place? Why were you like, hey, I've done with this corporate job, I'm doing this reselling thing full time? Because we talked about it earlier in the show, but just if you want to run over that real quick.
Yeah. I mean, I've always been thrifting. I grew up thrifting for my own clothes. I upcycled, so taking thrift store finds and then making them into something new. I moved into reselling when I had my 3rd child, and it's just too hard to, sew and make things into something new. It's strictly, putting it into selling it, buying it from the thrift store and then just selling it, not having to do that work in between.
Okay, yeah, awesome. So we appreciate you coming to hang out with us today, Sarah, and hopefully I'll get to see you again sometime, right? We'll hang out and do a meetup again sometime, and hopefully you'll have a good New Year's. So thank you for hanging out with us. Bye, guys.
Bye. Thank you.